All right, everyone. It is Tuesday, March 24th at 5 p.m., and I am calling to order the Placerville City Council meeting. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, could we please call roll?
Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Clarici.
Here.
Mayor Gottberg.
Here.
Vice Mayor No.
Here.
Councilmember Yarbrough.
Here.
All right, we're going to move on to our ceremonial matters, starting with item 3.1, a proclamation of the City Council declaring the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. And that is me, so I'm going to read the proclamation now. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property, and whereas the safety of our first responders is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from its citizens who telephone into the Placerville Police Department Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety, and whereas the public safety telecommunicators of the Placerville Police Department have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients, and whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Placerville declares the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Placerville in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. I am going to go ahead and present this to our Commander Maciel, who is here today in lieu of our chief. Speech. All right. Would any members of the public like to comment on our proclamation 3.1? All right, I see none, so we are going to move on to our next proclamation. Item 3.2, a proclamation of the City Council recognizing the period of April to October 2026 as Wildfire Awareness Season. Whereas whereas El Dorado County has experienced large and destructive wildfires that have impacted the city of Placerville, evidenced by the Mosquito, Caldor King, and recently the Cozier Fire, and whereas wildfire significantly impacts the environmental, economic, and social well-being of the city and the surrounding area, and whereas wildfire preparedness and resilience require a shared effort between residents, agencies, and organizations to effectively reduce wildfire risk and improve overall resilience, and whereas residents should prepare for wildfires by ensuring proper defensible space surrounding their homes, implementing appropriate home hardening measures, and using ignition-resistant building materials. And whereas it is imperative that residents and communities work together to prepare for wildfire and commit to becoming fire adapted. And whereas residents should also recognize their role in preventing human-caused wildfires by following burning restrictions and avoid activities that can cause wildfires. And whereas supporting vital fuels reduction projects that complement defensible space and home hardening help protect communities and provide forest health benefits, including making room for new growth to provide forage for wildlife, recycling nutrients back into the soil, and reducing the spread of insects and disease in forest. And whereas in 2019, the city adopted a hazardous material and combustible materials abatement ordinance to reduce the potential for fire and to promote the public safety and welfare of the community. Whereas El Dorado County has established an Office of Wildfire Preparedness and Resilience, which in coordination with other fire prevention organizations in the county facilitates information exchange, coordinates wildfire prevention and mitigation planning efforts, and supports community organizations, agencies, and others engaged in wildfire preparedness and mitigation. And whereas following this proclamation, an intensive multi-agency campaign will be launched under the theme, Hope is not a strategy, be prepared, to educate the public on the many actions they can take to prepare for and build resilience against wildfires, enforcing the importance of collaborative efforts in wildfire preparedness. And whereas achieving these wildfire preparedness and resilience goals is made possible through the strong partnerships and by working together with the community to implement effective strategies and solutions. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Placerville declares the period of April to October 2026 as Wildfire Awareness Season as the means for education and a call for residents, agencies, and organizations within the City of Placerville and El Dorado County to work together to be ready for wildfire. And is Grant Weber or Emma Owens here? Would you guys like to say anything before I come down? Okay.
Can we have the city, the Placerville Fire Safe Council stand with us now?
Yeah, sure.
Of course. Get 'em all
Everyone,
up here.
everyone that wants to talk about
Everybody.
wildfire safety.
Everybody gets up. Let's have a group photo. And not make the font that big.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was too many. That was too many.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. And would any members of the public like to comment on this proclamation?
Sue Rodman, Placerville City resident, and I really like the part where it said, "Hope is not a strategy. Get busy and do your work to make sure your place is fire safe."
All right, great. Any other public comments? All right, I see none, so we're going to move on to item number 4, closed session report, City Attorney Abrahimi.
Thank you, Mayor Gottberg. The council met in closed session for 2 items. There was no public comment in advance. The council provided direction on both items.
Great. We're going to move on to item number 5, adoption of the agenda.
I'll move the agenda.
I'll second.
All right, I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? So we're going to move on to item number 6, announcements, presentations to the public. 6.1, brief comments by the City Council. I'll start with Councilmember Yarborough.
I have none for tonight.
Carter?
I have none.
No.
I have none.
Clarici?
I have none.
I'm going to continue the trend. I also have none. All right. Item number 6.2, receive update from the Placerville Fire Safe Council. Mr. Acuna.
Good evening. Mark Acuna, Vice Chair of the Placerville Fire Safe Council, here this evening to give you an update on our 5th annual Wildfire Safety Day. First, I'd like to thank the mayor and the vice mayor for their assistance, and there have been frequent contributions to their positions as council members and also in relationship to the work we do in the Fire Safe Council. Before I go on, I'd like to introduce David Zielinski, the Placerville Fire Safe Chairman. David? David has been at this. We were trying to figure out an exact date. The county actually started the Fire Safe Council program in 2002. We actually became official in 2019, And as I told David on the phone earlier today, I know he was at the city council way before 2019, pushing the idea that we needed our own fire safe council. So let's say we've been at this at roughly 10 years now. We also this evening or this afternoon, Steve Allen is here. He is our event co-chair. Steve? Couldn't do it without him. And Rowena Plazinski, who is our senior analyst, is unable to be here. Really honored to be a part of this three-person team. It certainly makes the effort much easier, having some really qualified folks working together. So as in years past, we are here this evening seeking the city's co-sponsorship for the 5th annual Placerville Wildfire Safety Day, which now is on May 2nd. Again, at 681 Main Street, or the old Midtown Mall, as many old-timers know it. We'll be open again this year to the public from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. As in past years, we continue to work with Dave Warren, Nick Stone, and Dennis Nishihara as they provide critical supplies and staff to ensure the event's success. We are again honored to have the full support of Chief Cordero and the El Dorado County Fire District. We owe a huge debt to Chief Cordero and also Chief Wren. It was their encouragement several years ago and their support every year since to go ahead and start the Fire Safe Day as well as expand it to its current location. So, Chief, I don't know how many more public meetings you're going to be at, but on behalf of the entire Placerville Fire Safe Council, thank you for all your years of dedication. This year, our fire agencies will have their booths outside next to their fire engines and equipment. CAL FIRE will again be providing hands-on time with their fire hose and water. We'll have them closest to the creek so that there won't be any danger of not having some fun. Any council member that stops by, we'll hope to make sure that you get a chance to try out their equipment. Inside, we plan to showcase 18 fire-related agencies this year, and we will include updates on Placerville's FireWise community status and the Fair Plan insurance program. I think we should all be pleased to know that through the efforts of the Fire Safe Council, the FireWise community status does allow financial credits to some insurance companies. I know I receive several $100s every year because I can turn in a FireWise community certificate. So that will be something that we're really going to be pushing on. There, of course, are some new maps, and we'll try to get copies of those so that the residents, there's 4 districts, and you have to know which district you're in. So we'll hopefully have an update for that to cover that for anyone that attends the event. I'm also pleased to share that the El Dorado County Animal Services, South County Large Animal Rescue, and Sierra Wildlife Rescue are returning this year. As we've learned in the most recent wildfires, no one wants to leave their pets behind. Or where do you take your pets, or where do you find your pets after your neighborhood's been closed for a day or a week? So those agencies really appreciate it. As you can imagine, budgets are tight, but we still continue to get their support, and I think they provide a really interesting little detail for city residents. I am told by Sierra Wildlife that they will be bringing some ambassador animals to the event. They haven't shared with me what that is, but I'll give that to you in a later update. This year, the wildfire simulation table is going to be provided by CAL FIRE. We'll be located at the rear of the event in a darkened viewing suite, similar to what we did last year. Returning with us, let me start over. With us since year 1, Placerville Rotary will provide free hot dogs, chips, and drinks all day long. Also, Mindy Flynn's Espresso Yourself 2 will be open and serving coffee and pastries during the day. She's also been a big help in coordinating various facilities available in the mall itself. I'm happy to report there's more tenants this year, so we have to work around that. She's been a big help, so we appreciate that. A huge thanks to all the agencies who have committed their time and staff for us again on year 5 as we deliver our fire safe message for Placerville. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from the council?
It's all very straightforward. Very well done.
All right, looks like no questions from the council, so we'll see if any members of the public want to come up and speak or have questions.
Mr. Vice Chairman would wish to speak.
Yeah.
Just let me say thank you on behalf of the entire Fire Safe Council, and I will be back in April to give you an update on some specific organizations to just highlight what they're going to be providing.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just hopping on, I went to the Cannabis Benefit Community Meeting and to thank them because they provide about $5,000 a year of benefit to the Placerville Fire Safe Council. And I asked them, what can I give to you? Sort of, do you want an accounting? Do you want everyone to have a goodie bag? I mean, what can I do? And so we negotiated with Chief Wren, and you may end up. I'm thinking since you're sitting with Joe Wren's name in front of you, I might hand this to you. So Chief Wren's one of the members. Dennis, you can have this if you want it. Okay. But anyway, he said, no, just one go bag will be good enough. And so we think it obviously has to go to Chief Wren because that's what he wanted. And Steve Allen put this together. It's very well done and lots of information. So if anyone at the cannabis community wonder what happened to it, ask the chief.
Thank you.
A goodie bag from the cannabis committee? Yeah, like gummies.
It's from the fire. Yeah.
It's paperwork.
Yeah.
It's a form.
All right. Any other public comments? All right. I see none. So we're going to go ahead and move on now to item number 7, consent calendar. Would anybody like to pull anything from the consent calendar? All right.
I have one correction.
Oh, we have a correction.
On 10.1, I voted no. This reflects I voted yes.
Yeah. So on the meeting minutes, 10.1, no should be listed as a no vote.
I remember that though.
All right. Would any member of the public like to comment on our consent calendar, anything on our consent calendar? All right, I see none, so we'll bring it back up to the council.
I'll move our consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
All right, we are going to go ahead and move on to item number 8, public comment, non-agenda items. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. You're going to be limited to 3 minutes, so if anybody would like to comment on something that's not on our agenda tonight, this is your opportunity to do so.
David Zielinski, and I promise to go home after this. Yesterday I was driving east on Broadway, approaching my right turn on Wiltsey, near the CCW shop and the liquor store. And the person in front of me was in the right lane, but because everyone knows that the stop at Wiltsey is optional, they just smoothly made a 45-degree angle through the intersection into the left lane, and everyone stops at Schnell School Road because that's a real stop sign. So I put these out in 311, but I'll repeat my request. I've noticed by the shoe store across from the Shell station on Main Street, the shoe repair place, there's a yellow sign underneath the stop sign that says traffic from the left does not stop. Now, it's taking your life in your hands to make a left turn from Broadway into Wiltsey. No one on that thinks that's a real stop sign. So I'm thinking, let's take that same sign and put it underneath the stop sign there so that they're not in complete and total shock when someone makes a left turn and acts like they have a right to. While these people say, I got here first, I'm going. So that's one idea, one yellow sign under the stop sign. The other one is, it's under $1,000, it's between $700 and $900 or something, a solar stop sign. And so with the solar stop signs, for a less expensive price, you have a red light on the stop sign right above it. That might catch their attention. Oh, it's a real stop sign, it's not a toy. And the other one, a little more expensive, it has white lights all around the perimeter of the stop sign. And so anything we can do to make it so that people think, oh, it's really a stop sign, just like the Schnell School stop sign. Everyone respects that one, but Wilsey is stop sign optional. And so I'm trying to improve our odds. So anyway, that's it. That's my suggestions.
Great. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for your comments.
Hello, my name is Dan Myers, and I live up on North Ridge Drive, and I wanted to bring to the council a concern that we have, all of the neighbors on North Ridge. If you're not familiar with where North Ridge is, it's off of Tunnel. It's just above Quartz Mountain, the subdevelopment area there. It's also just north of the Health and Human Services Agency's office. And Quartz Mountain was supposed to be a subdevelopment, not exactly sure what happened with that. From what we understand, it's owned now by an out-of-the-area investment firm. Property is located on a steep hillside, currently very overgrown, unmanaged, vacant land, and there's many homeless encampments out there. This is actually, it's very appropriate with all the fire safety that we're talking about here, because 2 weeks ago there was a fire on the Quartz Mountain property. And fortunately, the fire department was able to get up there and get it put out quickly. This is, the neighbors that have lived there, we're relatively new to the area. The neighbors that have lived there for quite a while have said that there's been multiple fires. There's a big fire scar from a fire a few years back that required pretty aggressive air attack to keep it from running up the hill and into the neighborhood. So we're not exactly sure how the most recent fire started, but if you walk around on that property, you probably can figure it out pretty quickly. Lots of homeless encampments up in that area. And it is directly across, as a matter of fact, from the parking lot of the Health and Human Services Agency, which houses the psychiatric health facility and the substance abuse programs. There's paths that walk straight up into this property from there. And you know, we're residents in high fire areas, and we are required to keep our property fire safe. We aren't able to get homeowners insurance. We have to have FAIR Plan. Yet this property that's right below us, a large section of land in the city limits, unmanaged, very overgrown, and it's just a recipe for disaster. Just wanted to bring it to the attention. We're hoping that this can be something that City Council is able to do something about, work with the property owners from out of the area, because like I said, there's been multiple fires over the area. We just had one a couple weeks ago. A fire in March is going to be very different than a fire in September in that area. So, Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you for your comments and letting us know. I'm sure staff will look into that for you.
Kirk Smith, good afternoon. Mayor Gottberg, members of the council, I wanted to commend you for the sensitivity I've seen displayed towards the Brown Act this last year, especially. In a government that's meant to be representative, it's important to have procedures for being responsive to those that you represent. And I mention it also because the Board of Advisors this year adopted some very strict rules about public comment. So now no matter how many comments you might want to make on how many issues, you can only do it once for 3 minutes at the very beginning of the meeting, and that contrasts greatly. I wondered sometimes how helpful it is on your side of the dais, but I know that for me, the comments I hear from you as well as from the public sometimes alters my views, prompts them to change. But I think one of the examples that I'd offer for you is Sue Rodman, who last year brought to your attention a number of roads in town that were locked, gates that were closed and locked. If there, I don't know if anybody else in the room had known about it, but if there had been a fire, huge numbers would have known, just as there was in the Paradise fire. And so within a year, that got addressed. So I think that illustrates the value of the Brown Act and how you have paid attention to it. So it's nice to be able to give you some compliments instead of complaining, which prompts me to feel much more comfortable. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments not on agenda items tonight? All right, I see none, so we're going to bring it back up here. 8.2, were there any written communications?
No, Madam Mayor.
All right, we had no items pulled from the consent calendar, so we are going to move on to our ordinances. 10.1, introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing Municipal Code Section 1-9-2 regarding qualifications for elective office. Ms. O'Connell.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is to introduce and waive the first reading of an ordinance repealing and replacing Municipal Code Section 192 regarding qualifications for elective office. The current code includes a one-year residency requirement that dates back to 1962 and is no longer consistent with state law. The proposed ordinance removes the requirement that aligns with municipal code. Let me repeat that. The proposed ordinance removes the requirement and aligns the municipal code with current law by requiring that candidates be registered voters residing within the city at the time nomination papers are issued. Sorry, my contacts are a little bit blurry here. It also clarifies that owning property, a business, or other financial interests in the city does not establish residency for purposes of eligibility. While no durational residency is required, candidates are encouraged to establish residency in advance of filing to avoid any eligibility challenges. There is no fiscal impact associated with this item, and staff recommends that the City Council introduce the ordinance and waive the first reading.
Great. Are there any questions from the council? Nope. So we'll open the public hearing if there's any members of the public who would like to comment on this item. All right, I see none, so we'll close the public hearing and bring it back up here.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a first and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, item number 11, public hearings. We have none tonight, so we're going to move on to item 12, discussion and action items. 12.1, consider authorizing the city engineer to pursue and submit a grant application for the Sacramento Area Council of Governments 2026 federal funding cycle call for projects for the System Preservation Program for the Canal Street Phase 1 Cabelac Road to Cougar Lane project and Canal Street Phase 2 Cougar Lane to US Highway 50 project. And this is Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Mayor Gottberg, members of the council. So, City Engineer Savage wrote this excellent report. However, she's not feeling well and can't be here tonight, so I'm going to cover. You're stuck with me. So SACOG revamped the programs, and there are now 3 types of funding available. The call for projects will be phased in 2026 to give agencies time to prepare and submit applications for each of the 3 programs if they wish. The System Preservation Program call for projects to be released first. The System Preservation Program focuses on maintaining and extending the life of key roadways. Projects are required to be on a major arterial or collector roadway that support transit routes, equity priority areas, emergency evacuation routes, and key destination and commercial corridors. Upon notification of the upcoming call for projects, staff began evaluating existing and potential new capital improvement program projects that would be eligible for funding. Given the current workload of the engineering department, funding shortfalls on existing projects, staff is not recommending any new projects to be identified through the grant funding opportunity. Only one existing project, which is actually a combination of 2 projects, stood out as a candidate for a competitive application under the program guidelines. Staff is respectfully requesting authorization to pursue and submit an application for grant funding for the 2 Canal Street projects. Staff would apply for grant funding to fully fund the remaining phases of the Canal Street Phase 1, which is from Cabelac Road to Cougar Lane, and the Canal Street Phase 2, which is from Cougar Lane to US 50. Currently, both projects do not have construction funding identified, and Phase 2 does not have sufficient funding to complete the final design or right-of-way phase. The grant application would include costs for eligible costs, including water and sewer repairs needed on both projects, and is estimated to be requested approximately $6 million in federal funds. Applications are due on May 8th, and with that, I recommend that the council approve the recommendation. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the council? Nope. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this item?
Sue Rodman, Measure H, Measure L, which does provide some funding to get some of this work done, but it won't be enough to do the whole project, so we really do need some help from the federal and state governments to get these things done. But we're looking at roads that are, especially the one that's coming from Cumbelic up to Cougar Lane, is deteriorated to the point where you're almost wishing you had four-wheel drive on it because it's so roughed up. The one coming down from Cougar Lane to Highway 50 is not as bad, but there are indications of problems with underground utilities there. There's some alligator cracking and some areas where you think, I'm not sure what's going on underneath here, but it's not looking too good. So I think this is a good idea.
All right. Are there any other comments? And I see none, so we'll bring it back up to the council.
I move and approve staff recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Nell?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, we're going to move on now to item 12.2. Consideration of award of on-call CEQA consulting services for peer review and staff augmentation. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor Gottberg and members of the City Council. Carol Kendrick, Development Services Director, presenting this item tonight. The city has historically managed CEQA compliance in-house to maintain strong oversight and deliver efficient customer service. However, recent staff reductions have limited our capacity to prepare initial studies, negative declarations, mitigated negative declarations, and especially to conduct thorough peer reviews of applicant-submitted documents. The applicant would be responsible for providing their own CEQA document for city review at this time. I'd like to point out that CEQA documents are extremely technical. They require professionals from multiple specialized fields, including air quality, greenhouse gas emissions, noise, hydrology, transportation, and several others, to produce legally defensible work. Across California, CEQA documents are frequently challenged in court, and even small technical oversights can lead to costly delays or litigation for the city. So on August 12th of 2025, staff requested that the City Council allow us to do a request for qualifications to solicit firms that could provide peer review on CEQA documents and potentially augment staff as needed. The City Council unanimously directed staff to issue that proposal, which was released on August 25th of 2025 with proposals due on September 25th. We received 5 responsive proposals from Cornerstone Consulting Services, CSG Consultants, Dudek, MS Engineers, and Placeworks. Staff have evaluated each firm on qualifications, relevant public agency CEQA experience, team depth, work quality and timeliness, and overall fit for the city. All 5 firms are qualified, but Placeworks clearly emerged as the strongest match. They're in-house experts in exactly these technical areas, combined with a public agency focus and an approach that positions them as a seamless extension of city staff, will help protect the city from future challenges by ensuring every document we approve is thorough, accurate, and defensible. The staff report does rank the firms, with Placeworks as number 1, Dudek as number 2, CSG as number 3, and then MNS and Cornerstone as additional qualified applicants. Staff therefore recommends option 1, authorizing the city manager or designee to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with Placework for these on-call services. This action aligns with our strategic plan strategy 6 to maintain and update planning documents. There is no cost to the city and no budget impact, as all services will be paid by the associated developers. This is an administrative action and is not a CEQA project. The draft resolution and Placeworks' full statement of qualifications are included in your packet. So at this time, I'd respectfully recommend that you adopt the resolution authorizing the city manager to work with Placeworks on an agreement. I am happy to answer any questions you may have, and we have Mark Teague, Placeworks Principal Advisor here, from the firm based out of Folsom, to introduce Placeworks to the City Council, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the council at this time?
I just have one quick one. I know you're recommending option 1. Do you see any value in having, do you anticipate having any issues where it would be worthwhile to have a second or third firm on call if we decided to do option 2?
I think it would be beneficial to have more than one firm. I know every jurisdiction is different. I know my last jurisdiction, we had 2. We had one that was working on our more complex or controversial projects, and then we had another firm that would do our initial studies, mitigated neg decks, because of cost. So there was different cost associated going with a smaller firm. So I think having a choice in the matter, and also depending on the consultant's availability. So I would agree that having options is a good idea.
Excellent, thank you.
All right. Would any member of the, or,
Well, okay, well, now I have a question.
okay, further questions?
So what do we approve? What's the request? What's the ask for number 1? Yeah.
She recommended number 1, but I was just
I-
saying number 2 seems like a better idea, just in case there's, you know.
Okay. Yes, thank you for that. It kind of depends on what you're going to have this firm do. Because if you're having a lot of like initial studies, not easy, but you know, that stuff, having a firm that becomes familiar with what you do and are doing is not a bad idea. And I've worked on that side of the aisle, so I would not suggest this if I didn't think it was a good idea. So it's not a bad idea to just have a good firm that you can just shoot stuff off for. They will eventually get familiar with the territory. Competition's a great thing. It's America. But if you don't have, the volume of work to actually justify it, so that you can sort of get that level of familiarity with all your consultants. My guess is that you had a lot of work going out in your other job.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you have that, then having multiple choices is probably not a bad idea. But if you're going to do what I anticipate we're going to do, probably having one firm that gets to know the territory, gets to know us. All of the people on that list were good. I've worked with almost every one of them or have been around them, so they were all good choices. My thing would be to just have the one. That would be my recommendation. It kind of depends on what staff thinks the volume and work and the breadth and scope of that work might include.
I don't think that we're going to have a high volume of work, but I say this quite frequently. There are no easy properties left to develop.
Well, that's true.
And so a lot of them have their own challenges. I agree that having continuity is a good idea as well. And this firm was selected they are currently updating our open space elements, so they are getting more familiar with the city every day.
I knew they looked familiar. Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, any other
I'm good.
questions or comments from the council at this time? All right, so we will open up to public comment, starting with our consultant.
Good evening. My name is Mark Teague with Placeworks. I've been doing what I do since 1986, so I totally understand some of the confusion and how things go. We do, at Placeworks, we do the full planning gamut. We do design, we do current planning. I'm a planning director in another community, so I understand agendas and I understand what small towns do on a regular basis. I agree with the discussion. Having backup is always good. But I have to fall in line with, if you have a low volume of work, my staff has to learn the ins and outs of the city. And it's only after the third or fourth repetition of getting through things that we have that ability. Now, having said that, my habit, because I've worked in small towns my whole career, is I have to earn your trust and I have to earn the job each time. So when we do things for this community, we provide a task order and we make a look at what those costs are, and we never take anything for granted. It's a joy and an honor to work for small towns because you have the same problems as large towns. You just have fewer resources to deal with them. So you reward creativity, you reward a little out-of-the-box thinking, and that's frankly what I enjoy doing most of all. As a firm, Placeworks has been doing what we do for over 50 years. So I'm not quite as old as the company, but I'm up there. And we're throughout the state of California. And why that matters to you is that we work in dozens and dozens of cities, large and small, so we can bring solutions to problems to you that may have occurred in Southern California over on the coast. And we can bring that to you as an example. And probably, and I'll leave you with this, the last thing that I always found, because I've sat in that chair where you're a one-person shop, is who do you call at 4:30 on a day the agenda's due when you have a simple planning question and it just eludes you? And I have the honor of being on several planning directors' call list, as I will pick up and answer because I've been there having to do that. And so there's no cost for that sort of thing. That's just professional courtesy. And it's also a marketing ploy. If you're used to calling me and I provide an answer that's useful, and the next time there is money involved, then maybe you'll hire me. But I never take a city for granted, and I never take the position I have as granted. So happy to answer any questions you might have. I truly enjoy doing this. This is not something a lot of firms enjoy doing, because you're literally taking somebody else's work and saying, hey, this could be better, and there's a diplomatic way of doing that. These are also my colleagues. I've worked and had beers with most of the people on that list. Some of them I trained. So at the end of the day, we're all colleagues together. But doing that gently and in a polite way so that nothing negative comes back to the city, that's an art form.
All right. Any questions from the council of the consultant? All right, we'll open it up to the public, if any members of the public would like to comment on this item. All right, I see none, so we'll bring it back to the council for, I guess, maybe discussion to figure out where we're going here.
Oh, okay.
Unless you want to just,
I was going to move option 1.
I'll second.
Okay.
all right, we have a first and a second on option 1, which is going into a contract with just Placeworks at this time. Any further comments? All right, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote then.
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, great. We are going to now move on to item 12.3. Consider making findings and accepting the 2025 Annual Housing Element Progress Report for the 2021 through 2029 Housing Element and directing staff to submit the 2025 City of Placerville Housing Element APR to the Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. Ms. Kendrick.
Good evening, Mayor Gottberg, and members of the City Council. Carol Kendrick, Development Services Director, presenting item 12.3 on your agenda for consideration of the 2025 Annual Housing Element Progress Report for our 2021 to 2029 housing element. State law requires every city to prepare and submit an annual progress report by April 1st, documenting how we are implementing our housing element and moving towards our regional housing needs allocation of 259 units. This report was reviewed by the Planning Commission on March 3rd. They did hold a public hearing, they discussed the item, and provided comments to staff, including a recommendation to adopt Resolution 2026-03 and unanimously recommended that you accept this item tonight. So here are some of the highlights. In 2025, we issued 116 building permits that consist of 8 accessory dwelling units, 26 single-family homes, and 82 multifamily units at the Middletown project. We also issued 23 certificates of occupancy that included 4 ADUs and 19 single-family homes. On the program side, we made strong progress. Our vacant land inventory still exceeds RENA's needs across all income categories. And 2 major affordable projects, 70 Mallard Apartments at 72 units and Middletown at 82 units, are under construction, delivering 154 units at the 30 to 60% of area median income. We've adopted ordinances for supportive housing and residential care facilities and issued permits for 22 accessible units, secured state and federal funding, including a $400,000 PLHA loan. And we've updated our fair housing resources and advanced transportation improvements. We did see some limitations due to fiscal and staffing constraints. No home rehabilitations or housing condition surveys were completed for the period year, and a few ordinance updates, including demolition regulations and full density bonus provisions, have been deferred to 2026. Those are noted in the report and will be priorities moving forward. This report is administrative action and is exempt from CEQA review under the common sense exemption, and there is no budget impact. Before you in attachment A, the draft City Council resolution would find that the report complies with state law and accurately reflects our 2025 efforts, accepts the 2025 annual progress report, and directs staff to submit it to HCD in the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation by April 1st, and confirms that public comments were considered. At this time, staff recommends that you adopt the resolution and directs submission of the report. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the council at this time on this item? Nope. All right. Would any member of the public like to comment on this item?
Peg Vanderkar, City of Placerville, representing Housing El Dorado, and I'm mostly here to commend you. It has been a steady recognition by this council over the years that the needs of people for housing at various income levels is that's not a good sentence, but anyway, you recognize the needs of people at various levels, and we appreciate that, and your families appreciate that if you have children who are looking for housing or hiring people who need housing in this county. That recognition is not there universally in the county, as you know. There's resistance, it seems. But this city, and I'm glad to be a part of this city, has accepted the need and then made policy and taken actions based on that need. I appreciate that, and so does Housing El Dorado. Thank you.
Are there any further comments from the public? All right, I will bring it back up to the council.
I will move staff's recommendation.
I will second that motion.
All right, I have a first and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, moving on to item 12.4, acknowledge and file the AB 481 annual report and direct staff to post the report pursuant to Government Code 7072. Commander Maciel.
Good evening, Mayor Gottberg and members of council. In April of 2022, Assembly Bill 41 was codified into the Government Code. It prescribes certain procedures for law enforcement agencies as they relate to funding, acquisition, and use of military equipment as defined. AB 481 has designated certain types of law enforcement equipment as military equipment, as noted in a prior military equipment report. The police department does have equipment that meets this criteria. The bill requires an annual report to the City Council. Attachment A is the required annual military equipment report for 2026, and I am available to answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions for the council? All right. Would any member of the public like to comment on this item? All right, great. We'll bring it back up to the council.
I move the staff recommendation.
I'll second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Could I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Carter?
Aye.
Councilmember Clarici?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Vice Mayor No?
Aye.
Mayor Gottberg?
Aye. All right, we're going to move on to item 12.5, receive and file a status update for the Clay Street Bridge Project Alignment and Replacement Project, CIP 40617. And our city engineer is not here tonight, but we have a nicely written report, and we wanted to proceed with receiving any comments from the public for folks that had come out to speak on this item. So I don't know if there's anybody else who would like to add anything before we open it to public comment. All right, we will go ahead and open up this item to public comment.
Sue Rodman, member of the Measure H, Measure L Committee, and resident of the city of Placerville, and I've been aware of this lousy bridge for 30-plus years. And it has been on the replacement list, I read, for 60 years. Don't you think it's about time we did something about this stinking bridge? Because it is, if you stand on the El Dorado Trail, cross the bridge and stand on the opposite side and look back at this bridge, you should be appalled. The abutment to this bridge is a bunch of cement-filled, basically fire sacks, you know? And they're just stacked there, and that's supposed to be a bridge abutment? You know, give me a break. That is not a bridge abutment that anybody should be proud of. I think our city can do better than this, and it needs to be replaced. It's a one-lane bridge. The railings aren't high enough to prevent anybody, maybe a 2-year-old, from falling over on it. It is in terrible shape. If you look at where Cedar Ravine Tree comes out, the prettiest part of this bridge is when you look back and see where where the stonework is, where Cedar Ravine Creek dumps in as part of this bridge. But if you bend down and look at how that stonework works, it is stacked stone with timber stringers on the top. That is not that's not something for the long term. That is similar to the construction that's been used by the big flumes that bring our water down for EID that they've been replacing at an amazing rate to make them safer. And so this, if it collapses, we could see a fire truck sitting down in the creek, because our fire trucks are pretty heavy. And we see big trucks that go across this bridge to turn around to come back down to Main Street to put their loads in. This is really not a sustainable operation, this bridge. It's not. We need to do something about it, and it needs to be done as soon as we can. And finally, we've got the report that's been approved, so we can go ahead and finish up some design and getting this done. And it was originally supposed to have a roundabout with it. I didn't think the roundabout was a great idea, and a lot of other people didn't think the roundabout was a great idea either. So that put a stall on it. And then ever since, it's hit CEQA and NEPA constraints and been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. We need to get this thing finished and get it done.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Kathy Lishman. I have a favor to ask. there are certain people who I can hear very clearly with a microphone. Ryan Carter is one of them. Carol Kendrick is another one. And just to make sure that you have the mic close to you when you talk, because it may be hard for us to hear. This project has been a long time coming. I first was aware of the project in 1988. That's 30-some years ago. And it has been a challenge. And this report is excellent, and it gives us hope that something will happen. There is no perfect project. The area, the last drawings we had were a little overwhelming, I would say. But I was glad to see on this report on the back that HBP is, some things have been included in the project now. One of them is the proposed work to relocate the creek viewing area. I was afraid that was going to get washed away. And as far as the garden there, many years ago, we were told that they're going to connect up Main Street with Clay Street with Cedar Ravine, and we say, well, should we wait to do the garden there? And the answer was no, we'll go ahead and whatever happens, happens. And now, the last drawings I saw, there was just a little part of that stone wall taken off. But this project, regardless of whether it's perfect or not, and it is going to improve the flow of traffic in that area. Connectivity, the emergency access, and the safety are the important things. And those were both in the report. And I was hoping that staff would give a little report about this before you opened it up to the public. But thank you, and it's getting closer.
Kirk Smith. Regarding the design of the bridge, the one sentence that concerns me is the statement that once Caltrans comes up with the design, there would be no further design input. And I'd like to have some clarification, because throughout the controversy over these many, many years, one of the things that's been expressed, and I thought there was some consensus, was that if you're going to change the bridge, you're going to replace it, the design should be consistent with what you already have. That it be the same kind of design. So you can have sides that go way up, prevent people from crossing over, but you still should have that design. Why? Because you look at, and thankfully none of you were around in the 1950s, when we had these ugly bridges at Canal, Spring, and Bedford Avenue. Those were great, some people thought back then, but there's no reason you can't have a design for this bridge, no matter how wide, that would not be aligned with the design you have now, which goes back to the 1920s. So that's my concern, is if you have an approval, does this mean we're stuck? Because we often have this comment to the public that, well, don't worry, we will have plenty of opportunities for comment in the CEQA process down the road, and then we get to the end and that doesn't seem to materialize. So I hope that what you'll do is make sure that you put some attention to the design and make sure we're not stuck with something that's very unattractive like we have in Canal, Spring, and Bedford Avenue. Thank you.
All right. Are there any further comments on this item from the public? Would any member of the council like to say anything related to this item? It's a receive and file. So
it's a receive and file. The design, the CEQA doesn't, we're just receiving and filing. We're not making any decisions about anything. And we have a little ways to go before we get back to saying to Caltrans, yes, this is it. That basically comes when you finalize the environmental document. Design is not part of CEQA, as far as I remember. There has to be a representative bridge as part of the thing, so you can have something to measure and stuff. One of the challenges is this project has been delayed so long that we are starting to run up against a thing they like to call timely use of funds. And it will definitely, if we had gotten better acceptance of the project years ago, A, it wouldn't cost as much money as it does today, and B, we would have had the luxury of having those discussions. And that doesn't mean that we can't, but we're not, the time frame on this is getting real tight. I think there will be moments for the public to be able to engage on what the bridge looks like. But we've been kind of forced into a box here because of a lot of the delays, mostly around environmental documentation on this project, for a variety of reasons. Don't even want to get in them. They're ancient history now. But that's kind of where the project is. I mean, this is you can read it. It's a very good report. It's got all the whys and wherefores, a lot of good dates. But yeah, so there's a little bit of that going on right now. We have the timely use of funds issues on a couple of the funding sources that now we will have to move much quicker had we not had to spend so much time churning an environmental document. Thank you. Oh, and I'll move. Well, we're just receiving
don't-
five. There's no motion to make. Okay.
Are there any further comments anybody would like to make on this item? I see none. So we're going to go ahead and move on to item number 13, council reports from other agency meetings. El Dorado County Transit Authority,
We meet next week.
El Dorado County Transportation Commission,
We're meeting next week.
LAFCO,
We meet tomorrow.
SACOG.
We met last week in the city of West Sacramento, and boy howdy, it's if you live in a city that's growing and has lots of money, it's a joy. There are people down there wanting to help you. You've got architects and builders and developers, and they're all there with just marvelous ideas. It was actually very nice. We had our meeting actually in West Sacramento, and we had it at the ballpark, which was kind of cool because they were getting ready for their first game and the grass was getting mowed. It's, you know, that smell if you've ever been to a baseball field, a really good one. It was a good meeting. They talked about West Sacramento. It's a very interesting place. So lots going on, lots of growth, lots of things, lots of multifamily development, which is kind of cool. Anyway, so that's what we did. Oh, and by the way, the city is hosting this meeting in June. So we're getting ready for that.
All right, Pioneer Community Energy.
We did meet. The one thing that would really affect the city, we extended the AC tune-up program to include commercial and industrial customers now. So if you have a commercial or an industrial building and you want to service your ACs, check the Pioneer website for details on that program.
Placerville Fire Safe Council, we heard from them earlier in our agenda about what they're up to. So, Opportunity Knox, Continuum of Care.
We did not meet.
All right, item number 14, request for future agenda items. Would any member of the council like to make a request for a future agenda item? All right, I see none. We're going to move on to city manager and staff reports. Item 15.1, receive and file February 2026 police stats report. Commander Maciel.
Good evening, Mayor Gottberg and members of the council. The attached report shows February 2026 stats, which are generated from our RIMS CAD record management system. Additionally, the community and other interested parties are able to view in real time our incidents on the Citizen RIMS website, and I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions from the council? All right, we're going to move on to 15.2, receive and file the February 2026 Fire Station 25 run reports. Chief Cordero.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. And I guess I will unofficially introduce our incoming Fire Chief, Brad Gates, and we're doing that formally on the 14th. But within your packet, you will see the run stats for Station 25 during the month of February. They were quite busy. There was a couple of structure fires that we did have here in town that the crews did an excellent job on taking care of. And commend the Fire Safe Council for getting going with the wildfire recognition and preparedness, as it looks like it might be a long season for us. So, and to report, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the council? Nope. All right, we will do 15.3, Development Services Department monthly statistics for the month of February 2026. Ms. Kendrick.
Thank you, Mayor Gottberg and council members. We issued 20 building permits and completed 25, resulting in a net reduction of 5 active projects and demonstrating our throughput is now outpacing new issuance. Code enforcement received 18 requests for investigation and opened 10 active cases, maintaining an effective 55% conversion rate throughout rigorous preliminary screening, and planning received 1 temporary use permit. We saw trends in high-valued residential solar installations. On the enforcement side, our focus pivoted towards neighborhood livability and public safety. The active caseload centered on nuisances and waste issues, 40%, unsafe structures, 20%, and compliance with conditional use permits, 20%. The vast majority of new cases remain in the initial notice to correct or administrative notice phase, reflecting our emphasis on voluntary compliance before escalation, and 1 graffiti case was successfully closed. Our February stats reflect clear trends regarding operational efficiency, with completions exceeding new permits, sustained green energy modernization as the dominant valuation driver, and targeted code enforcement that protects the community standards while encouraging resolution. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from the council?
I don't have a question. I don't have any questions, but I really like this format.
I was going to say the same thing. Kudos
Yes.
on this. This is really great.
I do
really
too.
like
When
it,
I
yes.
sent it to the city manager, I was like, I really like this new format.
Kudos on that. It's wonderful.
All right. Would any member of the public like to comment on any items under number 15, city manager and staff reports? All right, I see none. Upcoming items, you can read those at your leisure, and so we are going to adjourn the meeting at 6:06 p.m.